Hey, all, my name is Tony P. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I hope you are doing well. This weekend I had a chance to check out Soul and Wonder Woman 84. So let's just say I would much rather talk about Soul. So I thought Soul was great, man. I didn't really know what to expect outside of the preview. There's a black dude, and I don't know, he dies or something. He plays jazz. Great, I'm in. Especially I don't have to leave the house. I can just put it on Disney Plus. Let's do it. Unfortunately, like all things in the world, in the days of, since we have the internet, it's getting some pushback, and people are mad about something. People are always mad about something, and they probably should be, but I don't know if I agree with this one. So in this particular case, a lot of people are upset, saying the person of color character was turned into something else. He was dehumanized. And one thing I did not realize was that this has been a trend. For example, Emperor's New Groove. You have a character of color. He's turned into, I don't know, like a llama or something. Brother Bear. I think you have an Indian dude turned into a bear. More recently, you have the first black princess, first African-American princess, Tiana, and Princess and the Frog. And she's turned into a frog. And even Coco, they turned the dude into like a skeleton through most of the movie. I don't know. I've only seen maybe half of those movies, so I can't speak to them in particular. But fortunately, I was familiar with this complaint going into my viewing of Soul. So I sat down, excited to check it out, with that in the back of my head. So I gotta say, after watching it, it didn't faze me. It didn't faze me one bit. It just didn't bother me. For me, the character, the African-American character, is always the African-American character. Except for some classic body swap moments where he becomes an animal for a little bit, but that's not what people are complaining about. They're complaining about him becoming the Soul character and not the actual African-American human. He's still the character. He is still voiced by a black man, Jamie Foxx. He still has the life of a black man, and throughout the movie, whether he's in his own body, a different body, or acting as the Soul, the city that he lives in is all still African American, and that was my favorite thing about it. It quite frankly, it stayed black the whole time. His mother owns a tailor garment shop. She's a small business owner, has African American employees. They go to the barber shop, which I thought was amazingly well done. And so the city, again, stays African American the whole time. I don't feel like they take that away at any point. The one article I read stated audiences were cheated once again of the chance to see a full-fledged animated character of color on the big screen. I just can't agree with that for Soul. I get he leaves his body at numerous times and goes into the Soul character, but at no point I personally felt cheated, again, as if they were removing the blackness, if you will, from this character. He is always him and always feels like him and constantly references him back and forth. Again, I see what they're saying. It makes sense. Yes, the character is removed from his body and put into something else. However, in this particular movie, and again, I can't speak to the other ones, but in this one, it just doesn't feel like I personally was cheated, or that they somehow took the blackness out of it. One thing to note that I thought was very interesting was the movie was not originally designed as a black character. In fact, the concept had very little human elements. The original idea from the screenwriter was just all these little souls, again, those little blue blob characters. Then they decided, well, maybe we need a little bit of a human. And when they decided that, it was originally a white guy and a scientist. So he was a white scientist for some reason or another. And so they were like, man, that just doesn't work. We want him to be a little more down to earth, no pun intended. So he was a musician, a little more relatable than a scientist. So they made him a musician. Even then, he was still a white guy. And then once he became a jazz musician, they were like, this has to be a black dude. We got to go with a black dude here. And so I mentioned all that to say, it wasn't a, like, let's make this black movie and then they cheated us out of it. It eventually got there through their development. And there's an interesting interview with the director who, let's just say, is white as white can be. He knows who he is. I ain't making fun of the dude, but he's talking about, yeah, we had jazz, and then even he was like, I kind of got to a place, I needed some help. I didn't understand this world. I didn't understand what these characters would go through and look like. And this dude's never had no lineup. He's never had a lineup at the barbershop. So even he was like, so they brought a dude in who eventually became co-director. He was he was the black consultant, but he became co-director and made sure things were done properly. And I felt it was great. Like I said, I was in love with the barbershop part. I think Dez, he needs his own short. They need to bring Dez back. He was great. The whole barbershop was great. They even had a hater. They even had a hater in the barbershop. But the best part was the hair looked like hair. The lineups looked right. The lineups on the neck. Everything just worked and looked right and felt right. And I think brought a culture to the Disney Pixar screen world, if you will, that has not been there before. So I thought it was great. Through watching it myself, there was at no point where I felt like they took the black out of it. To me, it felt like a black movie the whole time, whether Jamie Foxx was voiced in the little blue blob or the actual African-American character. The movie just felt black to me, and it was great. They're in a real jazz club with black musicians. Again, I can't say enough about the barbershop. They had his mother's shop where she did the tailoring. There were so many black characters that were voiced by African-American actors that were in the prominent through the entire movie. So just because, in my opinion, the one character goes back and forth between being a soul and being human, it doesn't cheat me or take away from the movie. I can't recommend it enough. I thought it was absolutely amazing. The only thing I didn't like was when I felt it coming to an end. I literally was watching it and started dreading, like, oh no, man, this is going to be over soon. And I didn't want it to end. And I haven't felt that way about a movie in a while. Wonder Woman 84, let's just say I was certainly ready for it to end, because it's 2.5 hours. It's too long. I watched a couple other movies over the weekend on Netflix and whatnot, and they just come to a conclusion. You're ready for it to wrap up, but not this one. I was loving it. I didn't want to leave the world. I thought it was great. So what'd you think? I want to know, what did you think about the movie? Did you love it, hate it, whatever? And what do you think about them cheating us of the black character? And I don't care what race you are. I want to know your thoughts, of if you think that's the case, if you've seen that before. Just let me know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. That would be great. And if you love the movie, hit the like button. We're going to like this together. I thought it was absolutely great. And quite frankly, I think I'm going to go watch it again very soon. So that's it for me. And until next time, do your best to be your best, and I will see you then.